The sun hung lazily over the orange rooftops of Kuje, a quiet suburban town on the outskirts of Abuja. It was the kind of afternoon that made the air shimmer and the dust settle on people's shoulders like a thin blanket. Vendors shouted, children played with old tires, and the scent of firewood smoke mixed with the sharp tang of palm oil drifting from the roadside food stalls. At a small wooden kiosk near the corner junction, a young woman moved with practiced precision. Her name was Amira, slim, chocolate-skinned, with a bright smile that drew customers even before the aroma of her mother's steaming fufu did. She tied her headscarf tight, one hand supporting a basin of wrapped fufu, while the other collected money from customers. The business was her mother's pride, simple, humble, but honest work. Across the road, a young man stood watching her. Farouk, 26, tall, soft-spoken, and still struggling to find his path in life, clutched a brown envelope of CVs under his arm. He had just finished another round of job hunting in Abuja city center and was returning home through Kuje. His sandals were dusty, his shirt slightly faded, but his spirit hadn't broken. Not yet. He had liked Amira for months, admiring her from afar. She was kind, industrious, and always respectful to customers. But the last thing he wanted was to embarrass himself. Still, he gathered courage. He crossed the road. "Good afternoon," he greeted. Amira glanced up, her hand still busy tying the nylon bag of fufu. "Good afternoon, sir. You want to buy?" "No, yes, not really. I wanted to talk to you." She raised an eyebrow. "Talk to me? About what?" Farouk swallowed. "I've been seeing you for some months now. You're hardworking, respectful, and I thought maybe I could get to know you better." Her expression stiffened slightly. Not rude, but guarded. "Ah, you mean relationship?" He nodded. Amira sighed quietly. "Look, I appreciate your compliment, but you and I are not on the same level." She glanced at his envelope, his worn shoes. "My parents won't like someone who's still looking for a job. I'm not ready for that kind of struggle." Farouk felt the sting even though she said it gently. "So it's a no?" he asked, forcing a smile. "It's a no," she replied firmly. "I beg, I no want lead anybody on. I'm focused on helping my mom and planning my own life. I need someone that is established. I wish you well." He nodded. "Thank you for being honest." She quickly returned to serving customers, making it clear the conversation was over. Farouk stepped away, the rejection heavy on his chest. He wasn't angry, just disappointed. He wasn't enough yet, and maybe she was right. Abuja was a city that respected results, not potential. That evening he walked home slowly, the orange glow of the setting sun reflecting off the rooftops. He didn't tell his friends. He didn't tell anyone. He simply locked the moment in his heart as one more reminder of why he needed to rise. And rise he did. But that would come years later. For now, Farouk was just a man with a dream and a rejection he swore to never forget. Not out of bitterness, but motivation. He kept hustling. He applied for internships. He volunteered. He taught himself tech skills, data analysis, cybersecurity basics, and later software development. The road was rough, but he stayed consistent. 3 years after that afternoon at the fufu stall, Farouk got his first real breakthrough: remote work with a European fintech startup. Then came investments, mentorships, and contracts that pushed his income to levels he had only dreamed of. Within 6 years, he became one of Abuja's rising tech entrepreneurs, opening a sleek office in Jahi district, the kind of place with glass walls, polished floors, and a lobby that smelled of imported leather and ambition. People who once ignored him now introduced him as Oga Farouk, the technology guru, the young multimillionaire. But he never changed his nature. He stayed calm, humble, respectful, but very firm in his boundaries. One quiet evening, after a long day in the office, he opened TikTok to relax. Notifications flooded in, tags, mentions, and a trending live session asking viewers, should a man forgive someone who rejected him when he was broke? He entered the live out of curiosity, and there she was, Amira, older, fuller, with tired eyes but the same charming smile. Her username flashed on the screen. She was co-hosting the live with a creator who had recognized Farouk's profile and invited him to join. When she saw him, her face froze. Her lips trembled. Their eyes met through the screen, and that was how the past returned, raw, unexpected, and ready to test who Farouk had become. The TikTok live room exploded with excitement the moment Farouk's camera connected. Hearts floated up the screen, usernames spammed comments, and viewers shouted, "Omo! Farouk the billionaire! Don join! This live goes sweet now! Match her energy! Story time!" Farouk remained calm, adjusting slightly in his ergonomic office chair. Behind him, the soft blue LED lights on the wall formed the logo of his company, Zentech Solutions. He wore a simple black polo, wristwatch, and confidence that didn't need noise. The contrast between his composure and Amira's shock was almost dramatic. Amira blinked repeatedly, trying to steady herself. She looked different from the girl who once sold fufu at Kuji Junction. Her makeup was heavier now, her laughter louder, her clothes trendier. But behind it all, Farouk could sense something. Life hadn't been entirely kind. "Ah, good evening, Mr. Farouk," she finally said, voice trembling slightly. "Good evening," he replied, polite but distant. The host of the live, a loud TikTok creator known as Duke Vibes, grinned like he had just witnessed the plot twist of the year. "Oh moo, this one not destiny calling back," Duke cackled. "Farouk, a beg gist us. You sabi this fine madam before?" Farouk leaned back. "Yes, a long time ago." Viewers went wild. "Story time, Abeg. Na she be the girl way reject you? Ah, this live no-go end today." Amira swallowed hard. "Please, Duke, let me talk to him first." Duke raised his hands. "Okay, oh, I'd mute. Make Una settle." He muted himself, leaving Farouk and Amira alone before thousands of watching eyes. Amira breathed deeply. "Farouk, honestly, seeing you here brought back memories." Farouk said nothing, only nodding for her to continue. "I know you remember that day," she said, her voice softening, "when you approached me at my mother's stall." "I remember," he replied. "You were selling fufu. I was job hunting." She winced. "I wasn't trying to look down on you back then. I was young, scared, influenced by my parents. They wanted me to marry someone stable." "I understand," Farouk said calmly. "You were honest. I respected that." Her eyes widened slightly as if she expected resentment. But Farouk meant every word. She didn't owe him anything. She made a choice based on the life she knew then. "But life hasn't been easy," Amira confessed. "My mom is sick now. The business collapsed. I tried small jobs, but nothing has been stable." Her voice cracked. "Please don't think I'm here to use you. I just—" She hesitated, then continued. "I saw your success. I saw how far you've gone. And I said to myself, if I could get a job in your office, maybe my life could change. I'll work hard. I'll earn my keep." Farouk inhaled slowly, keeping his face calm. The comments were exploding again. "Chai? Life? She dey beg now? Farouk, help her a beg. This guy no go fall mugusha." He cleared his throat. "Amira, I appreciate your honesty, but my office? It's complicated. We're in a very specialized field. We don't have open positions for now." Her lips trembled. "Please, even front desk, cleaner, anything?" Farouk felt the weight of her desperation. Not entitlement, real struggle. But he also felt something else. Boundaries. Memories of the boy he once was. The pain of rejection. The promise he made to himself never to force connections or mix emotion with business. "I can help you secure a job elsewhere," he said gently, "or fund a business for you, but I can't offer you a position in my office." She blinked rapidly, tears threatening. "Why? Is it because of what I said back then? Because I turned you down?" "No," he replied softly. "It's not about the past. It's about structure. My company has strict recruitment processes. I can't bend the rules for anyone, not even myself." She looked down, nodding slowly. The comment section softened. "Respect to Farouk. This is maturity. He no shame her." "Omo, life day humble person," Farouk continued, voice still calm. "But listen, you deserve a chance, and I can help you create one. Just not inside my office." Amira wiped her eyes. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Duke unmuted himself dramatically. Oh, mo! Wet in my eyes just witness? Nollywood need hire Una too. The audience roared with laughter. But inside Farouk, something shifted. The past wasn't haunting him. It wasn't pulling him. It was simply there, acknowledged, respected, released. Yet he knew this was just the beginning, because after the live ended, Amira sent him a private message. And that message would lead to the next chapter of their intertwined destinies. Farouk ended the TikTok live, shut his laptop gently, and leaned back in his chair. The office was quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner and the faint glow of the city through the glass windows. It was almost 11:45 p.m., one of those Abuja nights when the breeze carried distant car horns and the muted throb of nightlife from Jabi and Woos. He rubbed his eyes, intending to pack up and go home, but his phone buzzed. A message from Amira. For a moment, he hesitated before opening it. Amira, thank you for not embarrassing me tonight. I'm truly sorry for everything. If you can help me get work, even if it's not with you, I'll be grateful. Farouk exhaled slowly. He could sense her sincerity, but he also sensed something deeper. Fear, fatigue, and a kind of humility that only life's harsh lessons produce. Abuja could do that to anyone. He typed back, Farouk, it's fine. I'll see what I can do. Send me your CV, she replied almost instantly. Amira, I don't have one. I only finished secondary school. I can do sales, receptionist work, or anything that involves people. I'm willing to learn. Farouk nodded to himself. He'd met hundreds like her while rising in his industry, people who had fallen through the cracks of Abuja's competitive job market. He sent another message. Farouk, okay, I'll ask around tomorrow. Rest well. He expected that to be the end, but the typing bubble appeared again and lingered and lingered. Finally, her message dropped. Amira, Farouk, I didn't reject you back then because I thought you were useless. I rejected you because I was afraid of poverty. My dad struggled. We went days without food. I promised myself I'd marry someone made. I was wrong, and I've paid for that mentality. Farouk stared at the text for a long time. He didn't feel triumphant. He didn't feel vengeful. He simply felt older, wiser, past the season where such words would affect his self-worth. He typed, Farouk, you don't owe me explanations. Life teaches us differently, she replied, Amira. But I need to tell you, because I've carried guilt for years. I used to see you passing on your way from job hunting. Sometimes at night I ask myself, what if I had given you a chance? Maybe life would be different for me now. Farouk paused, letting the words settle. He typed carefully. Farouk, Amira, you made the best decision with the information you had. And honestly, even if we tried something back then, who knows if it would have worked? We were young. Life had its own plans. Her response came after a long gap. Amira, thank you. You speak like someone who has healed. Farouk gave a faint smile. Farouk, I did. Life forced me to. Then he stood up, collected his laptop bag, and locked the office. The elevator ride down was slow, its soft, mechanical hum echoing off the chrome walls. As he stepped out into the parking lot, the cool Abuja night greeted him. His black SUV beeped as he unlocked it. But before he entered, his phone buzzed again. Another message. He sighed, half amused, half worried. Amira, can I ask one last thing? Why won't you let me work with you? The real reason? Farouk leaned against his car, staring at the message. The real reason? It wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't rejection. It was boundaries. And something else. Something he hadn't admitted even to himself. He typed, Farouk, because if you work with me, things will get complicated. And I don't mix my past with my professional space. I've worked too hard to keep my office clean from emotional history. Her reply came almost immediately. Amira, so you still feel something? Farouk blinked. He typed, honestly. Farouk, not in that way, but I remember who I was back then, and I need my workspace to remain neutral. This time she didn't reply. Not for minutes, not for hours. Farouk drove home in silence, unpacked, and fell asleep, thinking nothing more of it. But at exactly 2:13 a.m., his phone buzzed again, a long message, and one sentence inside it would change everything. Amira, my mother is very sick. I'm the only one she has left. Please, Farouk, even if not for me, help me for her sake. I'm desperate. Farouk sat upright in bed, heart tightening. This wasn't about rejection anymore. This was about responsibility and humanity and destiny pulling two people together for reasons neither fully understood yet. Morning came slowly over Abuja, spilling soft gold over Maitama's quiet streets. Farouk sat in his living room, a steaming mug of black tea on the glass table. But his mind wasn't on the tea. It was on the message he'd read at 2:13 a.m. My mother is very sick. I'm the only one she has left. Even if not for me, help me for her sake. He replayed those words, wondering how much pain someone had to swallow before sending such a message. He wasn't the type to ignore suffering, not after what he had seen growing up. With a deep breath, he unlocked his phone and sent a message. Farouk, what's wrong with your mum? Amira, she has complications from diabetes. Her legs are swelling. She can't stand for long. We don't have money for proper treatment. Farouk stared at the screen. That hit close. His own father had died from an untreated illness years ago. Poverty had stolen time from him, had left scars he still carried quietly. He typed, Farouk, send me her address. I'll visit today. Almost instantly. Amira, are you serious? Farouk, yes. Amira, thank you. Thank you so much. When Farouk arrived in Kuje, the memories came back sharply. The dust, the heat, the narrow roads, the small wooden structures. Nothing had changed much, but he had. Amira stood outside the compound gate waiting for him. Her headscarf was loosely tied, her eyes tired but hopeful. When she saw him step out of the SUV, she swallowed hard, almost embarrassed by the contrast between his polished presence and the humble environment. Good afternoon, Farouk, she said softly. Good afternoon, he replied, voice even, respectful. She led him inside. The compound was small, with cracked walls and the smell of kerosene and old wood. In the inner room, her mother lay on a mattress near the window, a wrapper covering her frail body. Her legs were swollen, her breathing slow. Good afternoon, Ma, Farouk greeted. The woman opened her eyes faintly. Ah, good afternoon, my son. Amira has told me about you. God bless you. Farouk nodded. How long has she been like this? 2 months, Amira whispered. We've been using local treatment, but it's getting worse. Farouk sighed. This wasn't something they could manage alone. Get ready, he said. We're taking her to National Hospital. Amira froze. Farouk, we can't afford... I didn't ask if you can, he said gently. Let's go. For the next 6 hours, Farouk paid for tests, scans, and the admission deposit. Amira watched him quietly, overwhelmed. Nurses came and went, doctors gave instructions, and all the while Farouk stood like a calm pillar. At one point, as they waited outside the ward, Amira spoke in a quiet, shaky voice. Why are you doing all this? Farouk didn't look at her. Because she needs help. But you owe me nothing. That's exactly why it matters. She looked down. You're a good person. No, he said. I'm just someone who knows what it's like to need help. There was silence between them, thick and heavy with unspoken things. Finally, Amira said, Farouk, I want to be better. I want to rebuild my life. Please don't think I'm trying to use you. I just want a chance. Farouk nodded slowly. I believe you, and I'll help you, but not by giving you a job in my office. She looked up anxiously. I understand. I'm not trying to force it. I know. That's why I'm considering something else. She blinked. Something else? Yes. He stood, adjusting his wristwatch. You said you're good with people. You're hardworking. I've seen that. Yep, I am. How would you feel about starting a small business? Something manageable but profitable. Maybe a mini restaurant or a supplies shop. Her breath caught. Farouk, you would do that? I can fund the startup and guide you, but you'll manage it yourself. Her eyes filled with tears, real tears, not performative ones. Why? Why would you trust me with something like that? He looked at her, expression calm but sincere. Because you're not the girl I met at the foo-foo stall anymore. And I'm not the boy you said no to. We're both different now. Amira wiped her eyes. Farouk, thank you. He stood. Don't thank me yet. Your mother needs treatment first. When she stabilizes, we'll talk business. Amira nodded, overwhelmed. Farouk walked her back through the corridor. But as they neared the exit, a nurse hurried toward them. Please, are you related to the patient in room 14? Amira's heart jumped. Yes, my mother. What happened? The nurse's face was tense. She's having trouble breathing. We need you inside, now. Farouk and Amira locked eyes. The past had brought them together, but the present was about to test them both. Amira rushed ahead of Farouk, her slippers slapping loudly against the hospital floor as she ran toward room 14. Farouk followed quickly, his heart thumping, not from panic but from the intensity of the moment. He had seen enough emergencies in life to know this was serious. Inside the room, 3 nurses surrounded Amira's mother. One lifted her head slightly, another adjusted her oxygen mask, and the third checked the IV drip. Her breathing was shallow, strained, almost desperate. "Mummy!" Amira cried, rushing to her side. The older woman's eyes fluttered weakly, her chest rising and falling with visible difficulty. One of the nurses turned to them. "We need to stabilize her. Her sugar levels dropped suddenly, and her oxygen saturation is low. Please stay back for now." Farouk gently pulled Amira aside, away from the chaos. "It's okay," he murmured. "They're helping her." But Amira was trembling violently. "Farouk, I'm scared. She's all I have." He placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "She's in the right place. Let them work." Minutes felt like hours. The nurses worked in silence, adjusting medications and checking monitors. Eventually, the tension in the room eased. The senior nurse turned toward them. "She's stabilized for now," she said, "but she needs close monitoring. Her condition is delicate." Amira exhaled shakily, her knees almost giving way. She leaned against the wall, crying silently. Farouk guided her to a seat. "Take a deep breath." She did, but it came out as a sob. "I've been trying to hold everything together," she whispered, "taking care of her, managing the house. But life just kept getting harder. I felt like I was drowning." Farouk sat beside her, hands clasped. "You've been strong, stronger than you realize." She looked at him through tear-filled eyes. "I didn't expect you to show up, or help. Not after what I said to you." Farouk shook his head. "Life is bigger than old mistakes." They sat in silence for a moment, the beeping of machines and distant hospital sounds filling the air. Then Amira spoke softly. "Can I tell you the truth?" Farouk turned to her. "Go on." "When I rejected you years ago, I wasn't just afraid of poverty. I was afraid of choosing wrong. My father used to tell me that love without money is suffering. So I closed my heart to anyone who wasn't already successful." She wiped her eyes. "But success doesn't always last. And the people you look down on today might be the ones you need tomorrow." Farouk listened calmly. "I'm not proud of who I was," she continued. "I've changed. Life changed me." "I believe you," he said. Her eyes widened, surprised. "Just like that?" "Yes," Farouk replied simply. "People grow. Every struggle teaches something. I've changed too." Amira looked at him deeply, like she was seeing him as a human being for the first time. Not as a symbol of regret, not as the man she once dismissed, but as someone who had become his own person. "Farouk," she whispered, "I don't want you to think I'm trying to come back into your life because of what you have." He smiled faintly. "I don't think that. I just want a chance to rebuild my life," she said, "to earn my own dignity again. And that," Farouk said gently, "is something I can support." She covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed. "Thank you. I don't deserve this." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "We don't help people because they deserve it. We help them because it's the right thing to do." Amira cried silently. Farouk stood. "I'll stay around until the doctor comes for evening rounds." "No," she said quickly, wiping her tears. "You've done enough. You should rest." Farouk shook his head. "I'm fine. You shouldn't be here alone." Her voice broke. "Thank you." Hours passed. Nurses moved in and out. The corridor lights dimmed slightly as night settled over Abuja. Farouk bought her food she barely touched. He sat beside her, calm, grounded, quietly protective. Around midnight, the doctor finally arrived. He checked the patient's vitals and then approached Farouk and Amira. She needs prolonged treatment, he began. Medication, monitoring, and strict dietary control. It's manageable, but expensive. Amira's heart dropped. How much? The doctor gave the estimate. Amira's hand flew to her chest. Tears welled again. Farouk didn't even flinch. We'll handle it, he said. The doctor nodded respectfully. She's lucky to have someone like you. Farouk didn't answer. He only looked at Amira, whose shoulders had slumped with equal parts relief and disbelief. When the doctor left, she turned to Farouk. Why are you really doing this? She whispered. Farouk inhaled deeply. Because I know what it feels like to watch someone you love suffer and feel helpless. I can't let you go through that alone. And in that moment, something shifted in Amira's heart. Not romantic attraction, not yet, but something deeper, trust, respect, a sense that she had misjudged him years ago, and that maybe, just maybe, life was giving her a second chance. Not at love, but at dignity. Morning sunlight filtered through the hospital windows, casting pale stripes across the floor. Amira hadn't slept. She sat beside her mother's bed, exhausted but awake, her mind replaying the events of the night. The emergency, Farouk's calm presence, his willingness to help, and the strange mix of gratitude and shame swirling inside her. Farouk arrived quietly, holding 2 takeaway cups of tea. You should drink something warm, he said, handing her one. Amira accepted it with trembling hands. You came early. I had a meeting in my Tama later, so I thought I'd stop by first. Her eyes softened. Farouk. Thank you. He nodded. How's your mom? She slept well. The nurses said she's responding to treatment. That's good. There was a comfortable silence. The shift between them felt natural. No pressure, no awkwardness. Just 2 people adjusting to a new kind of connection. After a few minutes, Farouk spoke. Amira, when your mom stabilizes, I want you to start thinking about your future. You mentioned wanting work? Yes, I need a stable income. I can't continue like this. I agree, he said. I've given it thought. She looked up sharply. You have? He nodded. I don't want to just give you money. It won't build independence. So here's what I'm proposing. Amira leaned in, heart beating fast. I'll set up a small but solid business for you, Farouk said. Something sustainable, something you can control. Her lips parted. What kind of business? I'm considering 2 options, Farouk replied. A mini restaurant, something small but neat, or a food supplies shop. Abuja thrives on convenience food. People buy fufu, rice, soup ingredients, and ready-to-eat items all the time. Amira blinked, overwhelmed. Farouk, this is too much. It's not, he said calmly. It's a start, but you must manage it responsibly. I'll monitor the accounts for the first few months. After that, you'll run it alone. She swallowed hard. Why? Why trust me with something like that? Farouk met her eyes. Because I saw the way you worked at your mother's stall. You weren't lazy. You had discipline. You only lacked opportunity. Tears filled her eyes again. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to. Farouk, she whispered, you could have turned your back on me. You could have ignored me, and I would have understood. But instead, you're helping me in ways I never imagined. Farouk shook his head. Don't think of the past. If we lived our lives based only on yesterday, none of us would move forward. Amira exhaled a long, shaky breath. You're not the kind of person I thought you were. People grow, he said gently. Life shapes us. Yes, she whispered, it really does. Later in the afternoon, after the doctor confirmed her mother's condition was improving, Farouk and Amira stepped outside for fresh air. The hospital compound was quiet, the breeze soft against their faces. Farouk, she said quietly, can I ask something personal? Go ahead. When you saw me on TikTok Live, did you feel angry or something like regret? Farouk shook his head. No anger, no regret. Just surprise. Nothing else, she pressed carefully. He thought for a moment. Maybe a reminder. A reminder. Yes, he said, of who I used to be. I remembered the boy with the dusty shoes and the brown envelope of CVs, and I remembered how rejection pushed me to work harder, not to prove a point, but to change my life. She nodded slowly. You didn't deserve to be turned down. He gave a small smile. Maybe not, but I didn't deserve pity either. Life worked out the way it was meant to. Amira hesitated. Farouk, do you think we could ever be friends? He looked at her gently but firmly. Amira, I can help you. I can support your growth. I can be someone you can rely on professionally. But friends, the kind that share emotions, memories, closeness, he shook his head lightly. I don't think we should go in that direction, she swallowed. Because of the past? No, because it's healthier to keep things clear. You're starting a new life. I'm maintaining mine. Mixing them too much could confuse things. Her shoulders dropped, but she didn't look disappointed, just accepting. I respect that, she said softly. And I respect you, Farouk replied. They stood in silence for a moment, the breeze passing gently between them. Then Farouk spoke. Tomorrow I'll take you to see some shops in Kubwa and Lugbe. We'll choose a space and start planning. Amira nodded, her eyes bright with renewed hope. Farouk, thank you. This means more than you know. I know, he said gently, and that's why I'm doing it right. Just then, a nurse called Amira urgently from inside the hospital. She turned to Farouk, panic rising in her eyes. What now? Farouk placed a steady hand on her arm. Let's go. Together they rushed inside, and neither of them knew that what awaited them would change the course of everything again. Amira and Farouk hurried into the hospital, their footsteps echoing down the polished corridor. The nurse who had called her looked tense. What happened? Amira asked, fear rising in her throat. It's your mother, the nurse said. She's awake and asking to see both of you. Farouk glanced at Amira, sensing her hands trembling slightly. It's okay, he murmured. Let's go. They entered the room quietly. Amira's mother was propped up slightly on the bed, her breathing steadier, her eyes clearer than yesterday. When she saw them, a weak smile tugged at her lips. Ah, my children, she whispered. Mummy, Amira said, rushing to her side. How are you feeling? We thank God, she murmured. I woke up and saw the doctor. They said you brought me here, that someone paid, someone helped. Her eyes moved to Farouk. Young man, may blessings follow you. Farouk bowed his head respectfully. Ma, it's nothing. You'll be fine. The woman chuckled softly, though the sound was fragile. I can see the way my daughter looks at you now. Life has humbled her. Mummy, Amira protested, blushing. Farouk smiled politely but stayed silent. The older woman continued, voice quiet but sharp. Amira used to say she would never marry a man without money. Now see how God works. Sometimes the one you overlook is the one God prepared. Amira squeezed her mother's hand, mortified. Mummy, please rest. Her mother turned to Farouk again. My son, don't hold her past against her. Farouk shook his head. I don't, Ma. Good. The older woman breathed slowly. Because she is a good girl. Life just beat her small. Amira blinked back tears. After a few minutes, the nurse signaled them to let her rest. They stepped out into the corridor. Amira stood still, face buried in her hands. I'm sorry, she muttered. My mum talks too much sometimes. Farouk chuckled lightly. She didn't say anything wrong. But it's embarrassing. Parents want the best for their children. She's just relieved you're getting help. Amira exhaled shakily. Still, I feel like life is forcing me to face every mistake I made. Maybe that's part of growing, Farouk said, facing things you once ran from. They walked toward the lobby in silence. The next day, Farouk picked her up from the hospital gate to begin searching for shop spaces. They drove through Kubwa, Gwarinpa, Lugbe, and Jabi, checking different locations. At each stop, Farouk asked questions Amira hadn't even imagined. Foot traffic, proximity to residential areas, ease of supply delivery, competition, overhead costs. Business is not about excitement, Farouk explained. It's about sustainability. Amira nodded eagerly, absorbing everything like a sponge. They eventually found a promising space in Kubwa Phase 2, a clean, open front shop near a busy junction. The rent was affordable. The neighborhood was bustling. "This one looks good," Amira said softly, hope shining in her eyes. "It is," Farouk replied. "I'll pay for a year up front, but listen carefully." She turned to him fully. "This isn't charity. I'm investing in your growth. You will run this place. You will wake early. You will learn bookkeeping. You will treat customers well. If you fail, it won't be because of lack of support." Amira nodded firmly. "I won't waste this chance. I believe you." Then he paused. "And Amira, no matter what happens, don't feel like you owe me something emotional. I'm doing this because it's right, not because I expect closeness or affection." She hesitated. "Farouk, I understand your boundaries. I'm not trying to cross them." He nodded. "Good." They drove back to the hospital in thoughtful silence. When they arrived, Amira's mother was awake and smiling. "You people are back," she said. "Have you found the shop?" Amira's eyes widened. "How did you know?" "A mother knows," she whispered. Farouk smiled. "We found something good." The older woman sighed in relief. "God bless you, my son, and God bless your household." "Amen," Farouk murmured. But then she turned to her daughter. "Amira, promise me something." Amira leaned in. "Anything, Mummy. Promise me you will not cling to him because he is helping you. Don't mistake kindness for destiny. He is a good man, but he is not yours." Farouk stiffened slightly. Amira frowned. "Mummy, what are you saying?" Her mother smiled faintly, eyes wise with years of experience. "Both of you are walking different roads. God brought him to help you, not to marry you. Don't confuse the two." Amira swallowed hard. Farouk looked away. The room fell silent. Her mother's next words were soft, but they hit the deepest truth of all. "Build your life, Amira. Let him live his. Help should not chain the heart." And in that moment, the unspoken line between Farouk and Amira became clearer, sharper, more defined than ever before. The weeks that followed moved quickly. Amira's mother recovered steadily under proper treatment, her strength returning little by little each day. Farouk ensured that all medical bills were settled, and he even arranged for a small monthly stipend to cover her medications after discharge. He didn't announce it with noise. He simply handled it and informed Amira once everything was set. Meanwhile, the shop in Kubwa Phase 2 began taking shape. Farouk hired carpenters to install shelves, a counter, and storage spaces. Amira chose paint colors, soft cream with a touch of burgundy. They ordered goods from wholesalers in Zuba, Guarinpa, and Day. Every day Farouk checked in, not emotionally but responsibly. And every day Amira showed up early, ready to learn. She learned bookkeeping. She learned customer service. She learned profit margins and inventory control. Farouk guided, corrected, and encouraged, but always maintained his boundary. Always professional, never personal. One afternoon, as they arranged cartons of rice and gari on the shelves, Amira paused. "Farouk," she said quietly. "Yes? I want to say something before the shop opens next week." He looked at her calmly. "Go ahead." She took a deep breath. "Thank you. Not for the money, not for the business, not even for helping my mom, but for treating me like a human being even when you had every right to turn away." Farouk nodded slightly. "You're welcome. But also," she continued, "I want to apologize again, properly." Farouk raised a hand gently. "Amira, no, please let me say it," she insisted. "Back then, when you approached me, I judged you wrongly. I thought a man without money was a problem. I didn't understand that character matters more than comfort. I was foolish." Farouk inhaled, then exhaled slowly. "Amira," he said softly, "we were both young. You don't need to punish yourself forever." "That's the thing," she whispered. "I'm not punishing myself. I'm just acknowledging reality. You didn't become great because I rejected you. You became great because you were always meant to be great." He smiled faintly. "Maybe." She looked at him directly. "I want us to be on good terms, but I also want you to know I'm not trying to win your heart. I'm not chasing anything." "I know," he said. "And I respect the boundary you set," she continued. I won't confuse kindness with closeness. I won't expect more than what you're offering. Farouk nodded, pleased with her clarity. Good, he said. That's healthy. There was silence for a moment. Then Amira smiled softly. Even if we're not friends in the emotional sense, I hope we can be something close to colleagues, or just two adults who respect each other. Farouk thought about that, then nodded. Respect is easy, and you've earned it. Her eyes glowed, not with desire, but with gratitude. The shop finally opened 2 weeks later. A small banner hung proudly above the door. Amira's Food Mart. Quality you can trust. Neighbors came in to buy household staples. Women from the next street admired the neat arrangement of goods. Okada riders stopped for chilled drinks. Children wandered in to grab biscuits. And through it all, Amira stood behind the counter, confident, organized, focused. Farouk visited on the third day, stepping inside quietly. Amira spotted him and brightened. Farouk, you're here. I came to check how things are going. She gestured around. See for yourself. Farouk scanned the shelves, the inventory notebook, the sales record. You're doing well, he said. Very well. She beamed. I promised I wouldn't waste the opportunity. And you're keeping that promise, he replied. A few customers stared at Farouk, his clean outfit, his calm presence, his air of quiet authority. People whispered, assuming he was her husband or fiancé. But Amira didn't flinch. She didn't correct them loudly. She didn't use Farouk's name as leverage. She simply ran her business. When he stepped outside, she followed him briefly. Farouk? Yes? I hope one day you'll look at what you helped me build and feel proud. Not of me, but of the choice you made to help. Farouk looked at her steadily. I already am. She smiled, genuine, empowered, free. And Farouk, she added softly, no matter where life takes us, thank you for showing me that not all help is tied to heart. Some help is tied to humanity. He nodded. Take care of your mother, take care of the shop, and take care of yourself. I will. Farouk stepped into his car. Amira stood by the shop door watching him leave, not with longing, not with regret, with respect, with maturity, with acceptance. As Farouk drove away, he felt a quiet satisfaction settle in his chest. He didn't rewrite history. He didn't reconnect romantically. He didn't seek validation. He simply did what was right. Two lives had crossed again. Not for love, not for revenge, but for growth. And as Abuha's evening lights flickered to life across the city, each of them walked forward on separate paths. Stronger, wiser, and unburdened by the past. 6 months passed. Abuja's skyline continued to rise, new buildings stretching proudly toward the sky. Life in the city moved with its usual rhythm, fast, loud, unpredictable. But in the quiet corners, stories continued to unfold, shaped by choices and second chances. Amira's Food Mart had become a small but steady success in Kubwa. The shelves stayed stocked. Customers returned every week. Neighborhood women greeted her warmly, children called her Auntie Amira, and suppliers respected her for her consistency. For the first time in years, she wasn't surviving. She was progressing. Her mother, once bedridden, now walked slowly with support, her health carefully managed. Every morning she sat outside the shop, greeting neighbors and praying softly for the people who had shown her family kindness. One afternoon, a customer asked casually, Madam, that fine gentleman that helped you set up this place, your husband? Amira smiled gently. No, he's just someone God sent at the right time. The woman nodded. Ah, God uses people. You're lucky. Yes, Amira said softly. I am. Across the city, Farouk sat in a glass boardroom in Jahi district, finalizing a major contract with an international tech firm. His company, Zentech Solutions, had expanded into 2 more floors. His employees now numbered over 50. His influence in Abuja's tech space had grown quietly but steadily. But he didn't think about praise. He thought about responsibility. That evening, as he drove through the city, he passed the road leading toward Kubwa. For a moment, he considered stopping by the shop, but then he smiled to himself and kept driving. Amira didn't need supervision anymore. She didn't need rescue. She didn't need reminders of the past. She just needed space to grow. And she was doing exactly that. Later that night, Farouk received a message. Amira. Good evening, Farouk. Just wanted to let you know the shop made its first big profit week. Thank you again. And don't worry, I'm doing the work myself. Hope you're well. He replied simply. Farouk, I'm glad to hear that. Keep going. You're on the right path. That was all. No flirting. No unnecessary closeness. No blurred lines. Just two adults acknowledging a shared chapter and respecting their separate futures. In life, some people return to us because they are meant to stay. Others return to remind us how far we've come. Amira and Farouk were the second kind. Their story wasn't about love rejected and rediscovered. It was about growth, humility, maturity, and the beauty of helping without expectation. A boy once turned down at a fufu stall had become a man who could lift others without losing himself. A girl once afraid of poverty had become a woman who understood value beyond money. And the city of Abuja, their constant backdrop, watched silently, as it always did, while two lives learned that closure doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes closure means peace, and both of them found it, in different places, on different roads, but with the same dignity.